Greetings and salutations. Today we will be covering the Petrozavodsk Phenomenon. On September 20th, 1977, within the span of several minutes, a vast amount of residents of the northwest region of the USSR reportedly observed unidentified flying objects descending from the upper atmosphere. Said phenomenon was noted to have a luminescent glow. Accounts from eyewitnesses on September 20th at about 4 a.m. stated that they appeared in the night sky as a huge star, radiating pulsating beams of light to the ground. Several sightings occurred before 1 a.m. local time over Medvedjegosk. However, the majority of sightings happened between 1 and 1:20 a.m. UTC. At 2:30 a.m. over Laukia and at 3 a.m. over Kovdor and Palanga, Lithuania. Some eyewitnesses reported an amethyst-colored object with pulsating tendrils of light reaching down from the craft to the city below as it made its way to Petrozavodsk. Nikolai Milov, one of the earliest individuals who reported and described the unidentified object over Petrozavodsk as a huge star that had flared up in the dark sky at about 4 a.m. local time, with impulsively sending shafts of light to the earth. This description in Milov's report was widely published. The Academy of Sciences of the USSR in 1977 found eyewitness reports to be mutually consistent and complementary. This went so far as to corroborate the movement of the craft towards Petrozavodsk. This would be backed up by Yuri Gormov, the director of the Petrozavodsk Hydrometeorologic Observatory, along with members of military and medical staff. They also corroborated the jellyfish-like appearance of the event, tying the sightings together even more so. Shortly after the event occurred, local media was bombarded with letters claiming to have seen the event and demanding that they be given answers to what had happened. Aggregated descriptions of preliminary data was analyzed by the Academy of the Sciences of the USSR, and according to Milov, the star was spreading out over Petrozavodsk in the form of a jellyfish, showering the city with a multitude of very fine rays which created an image of pouring rain. Milov further reported that after some time the luminescent rays ceased, and the jellyfish turned into a bright semicircle, which resumed movements towards Onega Lake. The object was now surrounded in a translucent coat of light. This was initially spotted at about 4 a.m. in the northeastern part of the sky. Initially, it was compared to having a brightness similar to that of Venus. The course angle, as determined by former pilot V. Barkhatov, was 240 degrees. This is notable due to it later aligning with official reports. As the object began to pulse in brightness, it was said to remain stable, not decreasing in any way or increasing to any significant degree either. The object was said to have dispersed an illuminated cloud. The diameter of the object's jellyfish-like cupola was estimated by Felix Ziegel, based on drawings made by eyewitness Andrei Akimov. The object itself was said to be red in color and that it emitted a bluish-white glow. The lighting in the area was limited to that of the full moon, which made it less likely for it to have been created from an environmental light. Eyewitness V. Drubachev claimed that the ground was lightened in a white night. The object would remain over Petrozavodsk for an estimated 5 minutes before moving away. Similar sightings occurred in Helsinki, Finland. These were described to newspapers as being balls or orbs. Eyewitnesses to this event included individuals who worked for the police, along with taxi drivers and airport personnel. More sightings occurred by the city of Turku. Two of the individuals who spotted this event stated that at a distance of 300 meters, the pair spotted spinning objects in a similar shape to that of a lifebuoy, around 10 meters in diameter. However, these claims were contested by Pekka Terekorpi from Turla Observatory, arguing that the entire phenomenon was caused by a Soviet ELINT satellite known as Cosmos 955. Terekorpi claimed that the actual distance of the object the two observed was many hundreds of kilometers, and that such reports were probably due to a well-known fact that it is difficult to estimate the distance of unknown phenomena. According to Finnish press, one of the phenomena was observed by pilots of a Finnish airline over Copenhagen. The report notes that the observation of the aircraft noted the sightings over the territory of the Soviet Union. The phenomenon was mainly observed in the northeastern part of the European territory of the Soviet Union. Observations in Ochakov, Tbilisi, Troitska, and Kyzylozyk are supposedly related to the phenomenon observed over the northwestern region of the USSR. However, the validity of these claims seem dubious. Documents show that additionally a message was received from a resident of Leningrad who apparently observed the same phenomenon. The object was seen at about 3 o'clock. It was spotted in the northeastern region of the sky at an angle of 60 degrees. It moved in the direction from south to north, descending towards the horizon. In some settings, claims were made that the object had the shape of a comet with a well-defined nucleus and a tail in the form of a trident facing the opposite direction of the object's movements. The size of a tail is claimed to be about 10 times the size of its core, along with a notable splashing of the tail. However, it is noted that the flight was silent. A circular halo was also noted around the object, and the position of the object did not coincide with the center of the halo. An eyewitness statement went as follows. There was a sudden bright flash of light that made us close our eyes and shudder with surprise. Everything around us was flooded with a dazzling white light. It seemed as though a dozen rocket launchers were fired very close by, but it was quiet. There was only light, dazzling light, which lasted 3 or 4 seconds. Then it also suddenly died out. After that, a long white stripe was observed in the area of the constellation Orion to the left of it, which gradually bent and folded, acquiring a grayish hue. Within 4 minutes, all traces of the event were melted from the sky. The origin point of this communication was Boris Alexandrovich Belkin. Some Soviet documents claim that the phenomenon could have been caused by the fall of a bright car. However, within this version of the story, we see a contradiction. The bright car would have caused sound and no light. However, there was noted a bright light and a lack of sound. This causes the story to be poorly consistent with the occurrence. The same document stated that there is no reason to associate this phenomenon with the phenomenon observed a few hours later over the northwestern region of the USSR. There was also a report of an observation of a luminous body by the port supervision officers of Leningrad Commercial Seaport from around 3 a.m. to 3:25 a.m. Moscow time. Now moving on to the official government action surrounding the events, a letter was sent to L. Simonov, who was the deputy chairman of the Council of Ministers of the USSR. He was chairman of the Military Industrial Commission, also known as the VPK. The letter requested him to start a thorough investigation into the event. In response, Simonov reportedly enlisted the aid of Dr. A. Shokin to investigate the events that had occurred on September 20th, 1977. The meeting would occur shortly thereafter on October 1977 while gathered in the Kremlin. There they summarized the essence of their request in one quote. The Academy of the Sciences of the USSR can neither ignore nor explain the paranormal phenomenon similar to that observed in September 1977 over Petrozavodsk, and thus asked to organize an investigation of the unexplained phenomenon through the involvement of organizations under the purview of the Ministry of Defense. The legitimacy of said action was also furthered by the fact that information on the sightings was also sent to the officery of the Ministry of Defense through independent servicemen. This led to the addition of the investigation to a state plan in 1978 of defense and research programs, going so far as to include the recommendation to send a group of experts, including members of the military, to investigate the Petrozavodsk incident in particular. The official stance is that practically all the mass night UFO sightings were conclusively identified as phenomena caused by rocket launches and tests of aerospace equipment. Researchers arrived at this conclusion by correlating the times and places of UFO sightings with schedules of launches, noting that launches of space rockets can be observed at a significant distance, leading to much of the phenomenon observed. They would go on to state that the main optical phenomenon caused by this UFO sighting involved the scattering of solar light on gas dust clouds formed by the combustion and byproducts of rocket fuel. Thus, the most favorable conditions for such observations are under twilight conditions, when the path of the rocket lies in a region illuminated by the sun, and the observer at a distance in location of night conditions, depending on the altitude of the rocket flight, engine design, and the composition of the propellant, along with claiming to say that in some cases, the characteristics of the cross-section size of a rocket trace can reach many hundreds of kilometers. It is also given with the difficulties of estimating the sizes of airborne objects, and visual size would be a match for that of rockets at their altitude. This, along with the absence of sound and the strange shape of exhaust trails, would evoke both surprise and bewilderment of an uninformed observer, leading to the claims of UFO sightings. You have remained with me until the end. I thank you, and I do hope you stay tuned for more content.